I've said it before and I'll say it again. The iPhone 17 is easily the best value to dollar drop that Apple's had in a very long time. I absolutely think that this is the phone that probably 7 out of 10 people should upgrade to if you're coming from anything older than an iPhone 15. So we've got the iPhone 17 in the Sage colorway, and then we also have the matching iPhone 17 silicone case. So let's go ahead and start unboxing this guy right here. Before I forget, if you're interested in the iPhone Air or the iPhone 17 Pro Max, we've already unboxed those on the channel, so feel free to go check those out. So iPhone 17 in Sage, let's go. We just peel this off. This guy too. All right, so let's see what this Sage looks like. I've actually been really impressed with the colors this year. Not so much on the Pro line, but on the regular 17 lineup. So I do think Sage and Blue are the two best colors that you can grab this year. This does look really nice. I like that it is like, I guess, a pastel green. Does that make sense? Just a nice, not too bold, not too crazy, but then the dark green on the Apple logo and then an even darker green around the camera bump just looks amazing to me. The phone overall feels very nice. So this year, obviously they've gone from, or maybe it's not too obvious, but this year they've gone away with titanium. Everything's gone back to aluminum except for the iPhone Air, which is still titanium because it needed that durability. But let's go ahead and peel this guy off and get the phone powered on. And as we're used to, while that's powering up, the only thing that you get in the box is a nice braided USB-C to C cable. For those of you that are probably upgrading from an older iPhone, something older than the iPhone 15, you're probably still on Lightning. So USB-C to C, very nice. I wish it kind of color matched the phones. That would have been really cool. And then I think you get a little bit of paperwork in the box. New this year, especially if you're Canadian, you cannot use these with a physical SIM. They all have eSIM, which I've had some issues with my eSIM, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so the phone is powered on. First thing that we're going to talk about is this brand new display. So for the first time ever, Apple has put the ProMotion displays on the regular iPhone 17 lineup. And that is huge because this is something that used to be reserved for just the Pro phone. So that 120 hertz refresh rate. If you've never heard of that before, you've never heard of ProMotion, you don't know what 120 hertz refresh rate even means. When you're scrolling through websites, social media, whatever the case is, it's going to look a lot smoother. So it's refreshing at 120 hertz per second instead of the 60 that you're used to. It's also a variable refresh rate. So depending on what you're watching on screen, let's say you're watching something that is 30 frames per second instead of 60, then it's actually able to bring itself down to 30 hertz as well to match the frame rate of the video you're watching. The reason why they do that is to save overall battery life so that you get better battery efficiency. So we're gonna go ahead and set this up. All right, so while that's setting up, let's talk about a couple of features of this new phone. So on the regular 17, you do get the action button and obviously volume up and down. If you're coming from an older iPhone, this action button just replaces the mute toggle that you probably have on your older phone. On the other side, you've got the power button and then the camera control as well, which is also in that nice dark green. So it actually looks really, really good. And before I forget, while talking about this display, another thing that it has this year that is brand new is the Ceramic Shield 2. So funny enough, this is actually more scratch resistant than even last year's 16 Pro because the 16 Pro has the regular Ceramic Shield. This has the updated version of that, making it, I believe, 3 times more scratch resistant. So now that it's actually let me onto the home screen, I can show you what I've been talking about. So this year you've got the new 120 hertz ProMotion display. So it just gives you nice, smooth scrolling. Obviously, again, I'm recording at 24 frames per second, so it's not going to be as smooth on camera as it would be to the naked eye, but it just makes it a lot more pleasant to use the phone, especially when you're scrolling up and down through menus and things like that. Everything just looks nice and smooth and super fluid. It almost makes the phone feel like it's moving more quickly, like it's a more premium Pro phone, so to speak, because of how it's actually moving. And then the fact that it's a variable refresh rate, as I said, means that depending what videos you're watching, what kind of content you have on screen, or if you just have the always on display, for example, it's going to adjust from 120 hertz down to something else automatically. So when you're using the always on display, so during this always on display, this is with my screen off, you can still see the time and everything like we're used to seeing on Android. It actually brings down that variable refresh rate to 1 hertz to preserve battery life while still showing you the clock and everything on the screen. And then once you wake it up, it automatically jumps back up to that Pro Motion of 120 hertz. Now, if you flip the phone over on the back of it, again, comparing this to the previous 16 Pro, you're only missing out on one camera really, and that's the telephoto lens. You still got a dual 48 megapixel camera setup here with a nice ultra wide option as well. If we open the camera app, so hopefully you can see it on the B cam. Again, this is just the Osmo Pocket, so it might not be picking up things the way that I want them to, but you have the option of the 0.5 ultra wide camera. You've got your regular 1x, and then you've got a 2x zoom as well. So you're missing out on that 5x telephoto. So for me personally, I think that this is perfect because I don't really shoot that many telephoto photos. I don't really shoot that many telephoto images. So I'm usually between 0.5 or 1x. If I want anything closer, I tend to just move with my feet because I like the overall look of that 1x. So I don't really see this being a problem. I think the cameras are still plenty good. The update to the front facing camera is also really cool. So you've got this new button down here, which is the center stage camera, they call it. They've made this 18 megapixels and they've also changed the sensor size to a square. So what you're able to do is, you know, when you would usually take a selfie like this, but someone's in the photo, so you turn it sideways to kind of try to fit everybody else. You no longer have to do that because you've got this center stage button. So if you just press that button, you'll see it switches to an ultra wide image to fit. And it's nice because it just makes more sense. It's more ergonomic and comfortable to hold your phone like this to take a selfie than it was to kind of turn sideways. And now you're trying to use the volume buttons in order to take a picture. On the inside of this phone, you still get the A19 Bionic chip. So you don't get the A19 Pro like the Air has or the Pro and Pro Max have. But honestly, this is more than enough. You're able to play all the games that you want to play on this guy. If you're someone that creates content with your phone, this is more than powerful enough to edit on CapCut, for example, in 4K and do all of the regular things that you need to do. Honestly, as I said, this is pretty much a pro phone for a regular iPhone price. They've just packed so much into this guy, and I feel like that's part of the reason why they decided to go without making an iPhone 17 Plus this year. So if you look at the full lineup of iPhone 17, you've got the iPhone 17, obviously. You've also got the iPhone Air positioned beside that. And then just to show you the differences in size, we've also got the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So this is a 6.3 inch display. It's the same size as the 16 Pro is, the same size as the previous Pro phones. What they did to increase the screen size is they actually just made the bezels a bit thinner on the side there. So that reduction in bezel actually increased the size of the screen by 0.2 inches. Next, you have the iPhone Air, a little bit bigger, same bezel size, but you can see the screen size is a 6.5 inch display. And then finally, you have the Pro Max, which is, again, a little bit thinner bezels, it looks like, but the overall screen size is 6.9 inches. So as I was saying, I think the reason why they made the iPhone 17 the way that they did without making a Plus is they realized that they made this too good. Like dollar for dollar, it's just too good of a phone. And if they had made a Plus version, so this phone, but in the size of the Pro Max or even the size of the Air, a lot of people would just stick in this realm here of this size and the Plus and not worry about the Pros because you're getting essentially everything that the Pros have to offer. So I think the positioning of this, they just did it to make more people purchase the Air. And then by doing so, if you've got them to jump that $200, you're probably going to be able to get them to jump up to the Pro line as well, rather than sticking down here. So now that we've got all that yapping out of the way, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the iPhone 17 silicone case. It's always nice to have a case that perfectly matches the color of the phone that you bought. So let's take a look at how this looks in the silicone case. I always found that their cases just feel really good to hold. And another cool thing about this case, if it's something that you're into, I'll show you in a second, is that they have that new lanyard strap. So this is what the phone looks like with the silicone case on. Overall, not too bad. Give you a little close up right there. perfectly color matched. You get that cool animation still when you put the case on that matches the color of the case. But overall just feels really good, looks really nice as well. And then on the bottom of the case here, you're gonna notice that there is a set of some new holes. So a little bit tough to see, but if you look here, there are 4 holes at the bottom of the case right on the corners there. And that's because you're able to actually attach the phone to Apple's newest accessory, which is the little lanyard strap. And it's a pain to get these little hooks on and off. So I'm just gonna leave them on the bumper case for now. And again, show you what that looks like if you were to rock this just on the air. So if I stand up, okay, it's all the same. If this guy was hanging from the lanyard as well, same idea. Your phone's here, readily accessible. You're a tourist or whatever, you want to take a quick photo or just, you know, text somebody and put your phone back down without having it in your pockets or whatever, then that is what this new accessory is for. Still not sure how I feel about this product. I don't think many people are going to use it, but you'd be surprised because when it comes to things like this, I'm always blown away by how many people actually gravitate towards these products that I think are very niche, and then they end up being so popular. So yeah, that's the lanyard strap, and that is the green silicone case. But yeah, this wasn't meant to be a crazy in-depth review or anything. So if you're looking for any specific information on this phone, as always, feel free to drop it down in the comments. I'm actually working on my full reviews for all of the phones in this year's iPhone 17 lineup. So if there's anything that you want to see answered in the review, or if there's anything that you want me to touch on when I do the day in the life / week in the life for this phone, any features that you want to see tested out, for example, or just like questions about battery life, whatever it is, if there's anything that you want to know about this phone, as always, feel free to leave it down below and I'll make sure to get it in that video for you guys. But that is pretty much it for me. That is the iPhone 17 in Sage. Honestly, easily a fantastic choice for anybody that is upgrading from, I would say, 11 to 14 or buying an iPhone for the first time. This is the perfect jump in point because it's essentially an iPhone 16 Pro with one less camera and a couple more bells and whistles. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Much love as always, throwing up 2 of them, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.